Yes, I'm going to have a total makeover. New backwash, infrared dryer, swivel chairs with casters so I can whiz around the place.
Talk about splashing the cash.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm going to be like the wonderful Viv Nicholson. Spend, spend, spend.
Vivu?
Oh, she won on the polls big in the 60s. And I met her once at the Cavendish Club in Sheffield. She had a Peroxide Bouffant up here.
Oh.
All the single ladies, 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 all the single ladies.
Hello and welcome to episode 217 of The Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street catch-up podcast that hopes it hasn't spotted the connection between PC Tinker commandeering number one's bathroom and Kirk having to attack the knicker factory's Kazi with an industrial plunger. I'm Gavin.
And I'm a bad wife.
Yep.
Oh,
End of podcast.
End of podcast.
End of all podcasts.
End of all podcasts. Yes. I got so into watching Sandman today that I flaked off of watching Corrie, and now it's very late.
It only takes 6 hours from me hitting record to me being done. So.
Yes. I'm terrible. I'm the worst.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you should start editing this shit once in a while.
You should probably teach me.
Yeah, you keep on saying that. And then show no interest in actual learning.
No, I am.
But that's fine. That's fine. We all have our own niches, right?
I'm genuinely interested. It's just finding the time that we're both available. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Maybe the time that's spent watching Sandman could be put to better. I'm only saying. How are you otherwise?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm excited. We get your birthday weekend this weekend.
Maybe a little bit later than we'd planned, but sure.
And you have a gorgeous new tat.
I do.
Which is just gorgeous, and I love it so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
A little birthday present to myself.
Yes.
By getting my arm permanently disfigured.
Right. In a gorgeous way, though.
Yeah, with a...
The detail is just stunning.
I mean, the description of it, I don't think does it justice.
Right.
Because it's a crow sitting on a ball of wool. Or a ball of yarn.
A ball of yarn with it wrapped around the crow. Mm-hmm. Is it a crow or a raven?
It's a crow. If you are familiar with the band Death Cab for Cutie, and if you're not, you should be. Mm-hmm. And if you're familiar with their album Transatlanticism,
yes,
it's the cover of that.
Yes,
that's now living on my arm.
Yes, and it's special because it's part of the story of us.
Yep.
Yes.
There we go.
There we go.
So I think that is me done with tattoos now.
I don't think so. You still have a leg with nothing on it.
Well, yeah, I have a leg with nothing on it and a back with nothing on it, but I don't see the point of getting tattoos on your back when you can't see them.
I have a tattoo on my back.
Yeah, and you forget you have
one.
it because it's on your back and you never see it. So what's the point? You're paying that money for a bit of art.
Right.
It's kind of nice to see it every now and again.
Yeah, I see it in the mirror.
It's like how I feel about my tea on my leg because I very rarely think to look at that.
Right.
But that's not really art. Although if it is, it's modern art. With a capital T.
With a big old red capital T.
Yep.
For tenants. Not for Texas.
Yeah, if you're familiar with the lager tenants, and if you're not,
it's fine.
Keep it that way.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'll get a tattoo for a beer company on my leg and then I quit drinking. But that's fine.
It's fine.
That's fine.
It's fine. It's still a memory of home.
And all the drinking that I used to do.
Yes, and of that one trip to Canada where we actually found some tenants.
Mm-hmm. We found it in Maine as well.
Yeah, on your birthday in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not going to Canada this year. Where are we going?
No, we're going up north. Not all the way up north. We're not going to the UP. We're going to Mackinac City. There is we're staying at a nice hotel right on the lake, which is lovely. And we're going to an international night park in the upper parts of the lower peninsula of Michigan, where it gets completely dark so you can see the stars in the Milky Way, because that's something we didn't get a chance to do when we were out west.
So if you're in Mackinac City, prepare for clouds tomorrow night.
You keep saying that.
It's going to be cloudy, isn't it? Have you checked the weather?
I have not.
Should we maybe do that before we go?
No, because it'll still be a nice trip.
What are we going to do if it's cloudy?
Go see a movie. We're going to do that anyway before we go to the park.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. And have a nice dinner.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. How was the rest of your birthday week?
Yeah, it was fine. I took a few days of work, but it was kind of just relaxing.
You got slippers that don't fit.
And T-shirts that don't fit. It was the don't fit
Dress
kind of
shirts.
birthday.
Yeah. Shirts that you thought were going to be too big but turned out to be too small.
Yeah, they're mislabeled.
They're very much mislabeled.
So they're mislabeled 1 or 2 sizes too big,
right.
and they're actually a size too small.
Right. And
So there's fun.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy
Anyway,
birthday to you. Anyway.
shall we preamble, my dear?
Yes, please.
Give us some of that ill-fitting Corrie news.
Sally Carmen and Joe Datine finally tied the knot 4 weeks ago, but said I do again on
okay.
Sunday. Let me
Yeah,
finish.
you're lucky I was taking a drink there, otherwise I'd been mocking you. I think.
In front, and more fool you if you did.
Mm-hmm.
On Sunday, in front of friends and co-stars who weren't able to attend the first one. As someone who also found a guy so nice I married him twice, I approve.
No, very nice.
Yes.
That's a nice little touch, though.
Yes.
It's a party more than a... Or did they have a ceremony?
I believe they had a ceremony the second time around as
very
well.
good.
Yeah.
Congratulations again to them.
Yes. We did that as well. And not even because of COVID.
No, because people were coming over from Scotland for
Right.
what they thought was the first time.
Right.
It's a complicated story.
It is a complicated story, as most are. Dougie Brown, who played Ted Spear, poor dead Ted, has sadly passed away at the age of 82. So now he's really, truly dead.
Did you see the tributes pouring in?
Absolutely, yes. His former co-stars have said lots of lovely things about him, from Corrie to Doc Martin, and every show and movie and thing he did in between. So yes, absolutely lovely. It's lovely to see these things where, you know, there's a huge outpouring, and it makes you realize just how lovely that person is, and you hope that people told that person how lovely they were before they died.
Yeah, he was quite a big name in 70s, 80s comedy.
Yes.
In the UK. I think the Parrot Joke is maybe his most famous that's on YouTube. I haven't actually watched it, so I'm not going to recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah, comedy from that era is always a little...
You can never be 100% sure until you've seen it.
You really can't.
Right.
You really can't.
But yeah, sad news, but and kind of sad as well that it's only like less than a year since he was playing Ted Spears,
Right.
killed by Faye.
And finally, Jude Reardon has a new best friend as fellow St. Helens resident Jamie Leahy competes in Britain's Got Talent with his puppet chicken Chuck. It's so nice to see him hanging out with mates his own age and their chickens.
Yeah, so that was a few weeks ago, the Britain's Got Talent thing, but I saw the photograph of the two of them together.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
With Chuck the chicken.
Yeah.
It's a chicken.
It is
So
a chicken.
it's
It's
okay.
definitely a chicken.
So it's okay. It's definitely all right. It's not like a ventriloquist dummy or
That's
something.
essentially what it is, though.
Right. Yeah. But it's something that can't be interpreted in an unseemly way, as anthropomorphic puppets can sometimes be. Chickens are all right. Yeah.
All the talent in St. Helens, and they play rugby as well, so,
Yeah.
you know, it's all going on in St. Helens.
Yes. Anything with the word Helen in it is A-OK in my book.
Right.
And that's Corrie News.
That is Corrie News.
That is Corrie News. Late breaking.
And moving on to, well, Podcast for Coffee. if it wasn't 9:30 at night, and if it was Saturday morning, and it's neither of those things, we'd be drinking our own coffee this week.
Yes. That's fine.
That is fine.
It's fine. It's your birthday,
It's
but
absolutely
never
fine.
mind.
It's absolutely fine.
Never mind.
We didn't
Never mind.
publicise it was my birthday, though. I mean, I barely expect you to remember my birthday.
I always get it mixed up.
I know.
I always think it's a day ahead of time. I don't know why.
Your mother sent me a text wishing me a happy birthday 2 days before and then said, it's on Wednesday, right? And I was like, yeah, so why are you telling me on Monday?
So she doesn't forget. And that's excusable at her age. My age, not so much.
Right. Yeah. I never thought of doing that. Wishing people happy birthday ahead of time just in
Right.
case I forget to do it
On the day.
on the day.
Yeah. Covering all our bases.
Oh, well.
We just have to remember her birthday at the end of the month.
Americans, eh? Well, I could maybe just wish her a happy birthday now. Anyway, if you want to buy us next week's coffee, you can do so by going to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street, and we will be very appreciative, won't we, Helen?
Yes, we will.
If you think that this podcast is worth any more than the time it takes to listen to it. And now this.
Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome.
And welcome to Last Year Tonight with me, John Oliver. Just enough time to quickly talk about no Hillary Clinton.
Now, I seem to recall this really pissing me off last year, but I can't remember what it was about.
That's right, this was Tim criticising Sally's approach to her campaign in the council elections. She was being a little bit too,
Too affirmative of herself.
no, she was a bit too, you guys are deplorables. And you know how that kind of backfired? He said that backfired on Hillary Clinton and Sally. I'm sorry to say, you ain't no Hillary Clinton.
Oofed.
I was gathering and you were looking for monogrammed napkins in the basement.
I remember that. I did eventually find them.
You did?
Yeah.
Well,
After I canceled the order. But then once I found them, I messaged the person and they bought them after all.
so a year later, dear listener, you finally get closure on that story about the
Yeah.
missing monogrammed napkins in our basement.
I was so pissed off. Just last weekend, I found this hamburger press that I looked for like over a week for and canceled the order. I was so mad. So mad.
What's this telling you?
I need a better form of organization.
There we go. I continued my pretentious weekend into the week by reading Kitchen Confidential and wearing a white DKNY shirt with flip-flops and camouflaged shorts. I plan to wear
Some of
at
that.
least part of that.
Yes, I washed
tomorrow.
your camouflage shorts just for the
I'm
occasion.
currently wearing them.
Ooh,
We didn't buy a block of cheese shaped like Ohio.
we didn't.
Corrie Monopoly continues this week as Debbie battles the combined wits of Nick and Leanne, and both sides vie for the better deal in the bistro partnership. Daisy's sights continue to focus on Daniel, but everyone in the street with an opinion does their best to scupper her plans. Brian helps Abby discover what Seb's death has meant for her as she puts pen to paper in her victim impact statement.
We haven't seen Brian recently.
I kept on thinking that he'd left and he's not
that
as
he'd left
Kathy.
with Kathy.
Right. Sally is in full campaign mode as she wages war against local parking regulations, all in an attempt to get out of a ticket. So that's a year ago that the street had the parking problems.
Yeah.
They kind of forgot about that, didn't they?
Yeah, it just kind of fizzled out.
Just like they forgot about Todd and Paul and Billy all falling out with each other. Oh well. An overworked Imran loses his temper when Leanne questions Kelly's innocence. The Baileys notice that lots of people are living in their house. Tyrone buckles under pressure and admits to the police that it was Hope, not Fizz, who set the fire in the salon flat.
I remember that.
Jenny has a spare poached egg. Ryan's arms have not gone unnoticed. And Fish Guy has got the deal of the century.
Oh, fish guy.
Fish Guy,
We never knew ye.
where are the fish guys of yesteryear? Literally yesteryear.
Literally.
Our moment of the week was Brian reading Abby's victim statement. So it wasn't Fish Guy? Fish Guy wasn't our moment of the week?
No.
And our boring moment of the week was James and Grace arguing about the bathroom, and that was Coronation Street and the talk of the street. This time last year. Shall we dive in, my dear?
Yes, please.
Our first storyline this week is O Menopause.
Ugh.
Do you know I'm getting quite a good recycle rate out of the storyline titles this week.
Yes.
Which is good.
Yes, because it's deja vu all over again, isn't
It's
it?
deja vu all over again, yep. On Monday, Craig is enjoying saying quinoa. Quinoa. Faye is not...
You like saying...
Couscous.
Couscous.
But you
Yes.
have to say after it. I don't know why. Faye is not impressed with him attempting to control her diet and storms off to work. Although they agree to meet for lunch, oddly, he tells her not to let Carla boss her around. Letting people boss you around is a symptom of the menopause.
Right, yeah. Even if they're your boss.
So we
Or
had...
meant to boss you around because they're your boss.
But we had no real clue, I don't think, up until this point, that Carla was being a bit bossy.
And I don't think she has been.
No, but...
It just seems like Craig has misinterpreted things and just sees Faye being flustered and stuff because of the conversation he has with Carla later, you know, and saying things that are demonstrably not true about Faye.
See, I think this... He said Carla's been bossy. Everyone's going, really? Is Carla bossy? And then we see bits of Carla being a little bit bossy throughout the week. I think this is planting seeds for Carla becoming super bossy.
She's the boss. It's her job to be bossy.
Yeah, but there's bosses who aren't bossy.
Yeah, those are called men.
And there's...
Because when men are bossy, they're not called bossy, are they?
I see what you're doing. I think we can look forward to a Carla being bossy storyline coming up. That's all I'm saying. Just throwing out a prediction.
And that can just fuck right off.
And then there's Rose. Carla's doing the cake run. Oh, typical fucking bossy boss.
Right, doing the cake run.
Approached by an off-duty Craig who asks her to go easy on Faye about the new sales targets. And while Amatic says, don't let her eat any of those cakes, confused, Carla goes off, leaving Craig to take a seat and read his book, How to Be an Even Bigger Asshole.
And he said something to her.
By Ken Barlow.
He says something to her like, you know, Faye's not so sunny and smiling anymore. And Carla rightly says, was she ever?
Faye?
Because she's not.
Yeah, she's not as bubbly at home.
Yes.
Bubbly?
Yes, because when I think of Faye, I think bubbly. Dump him. I shall be shouting that repeatedly.
That was the tweet. That was a tweet on Monday.
It was the tweet.
For the love of
and
God.
It's true. Dump his ass.
Back home, Faye tears her strip off an unapologetic Craig who says he was just trying to help and look out for her, and then he tells her to take a seat because he's ordered her lunch for her. She goes rage at this and he screams that he doesn't know what he's done to upset her. She explains that she doesn't need looked after by a nutter who had to keep switching the lights on and off, or Beth would die.
Right, yeah. Thank you, Faye, for reminding everyone that Craig has OCD.
That was a lot below the belt.
No.
It was.
No, because he's so freaking annoying.
Mocking his OCD.
Well, no, she's just...
That went away overnight.
Right. She's just pointing out that he's got his own shit to deal with. He doesn't need to be micromanaging her shit.
Yeah. Back at the factory now, and Faye moans, but then she moans specifically to Sally, saying Craig depresses the hell out of her and the audience. Sally promises to set Tim on him for her. Home again now, Faye announces that she's eating whatever the fuck she wants so he can keep his big fat mouth shut.
Yes.
He realises he's been in the wrong and has got her a present to help her sleep better. It's a horrible nightie that controls odour or something.
Odour and heat and
so obviously she takes offence at this. Are you saying I'm smelly? Because you said that I had a hairy lip the other week. And,
right, yeah.
Faye is furious again and goes to hide in a closet, screaming at him to leave her alone.
Yes, please leave her alone. Just go away and let her dump you.
Several hours later, Faye comes out of the closet. Craig murmurs that hiding in the closet is a symptom of the menopause. He offers to move back in with Beth for a bit. Do whatever the fuck you like, she says. You know best. And so Craig packs a bag.
And it finally does the right thing.
Right.
She
She doesn't even have the energy to dump him though. She's like, you do you and I'll do me. And if you leave, you leave. And if you don't, you don't. It's just the opposite of love being apathy.
I think the thing that irritates me so much is how many women in that factory have said to her, oh, well, he's just doing his best. He's just trying to be nice. Mm-hmm. Fuck that.
People do that though.
Fuck that. Yes, he is trying to be nice. but he's also micromanaging and trying to control her. And if you don't nip that sort of stuff in the bud right away, he's going to continue to do stuff like that.
He is.
And you can't just let it go and smile and be nice. You know, we've how many waves of feminism do we have to go through before we stop being nice, stupid men?
Quinoa. On Wednesday,
Couscous.
On Wednesday, PC Tinker and his colleague PC Jess are turning onto the street in their lovely big police car. PC Tinker more concerned about a passing Faye than setting up their community outreach thing at Victoria Gardens. She ignores him when he calls out to her, and he calls out to her twice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a...
Faye! Faye!
That just reminded me of Alan Partridge when he shouts Dan 14 times in the car park. In the factory, there's no one who shouldn't be there when Carla encourages the knicker people to get working so they can complete this important order and stuff. Beth is arsey to Faye, who hasn't asked how Craig is doing. He was doing terribly, thank you very much.
Good.
Faye has had enough of him banging on about her ovaries. At the outreach thing, Evelyn makes PC Tinker look like an arsehole for a few minutes, and then Tinker and his colleague, PC Jess, have a toy fight in the middle of the street for some cream cakes, which Faye sees. And she doesn't need to be told twice that Craig is eating all the stuff that he's banned her from.
Of course.
Evelyn's, they had little piggy bank things that they had to put in coins that if you feel safe, put in a green coin.
Right.
And if you feel that this is not a safe area, put in a red coin. And
she,
Evelyn
like,
just
put,
loaded it up with red coins.
Red coins. It was great.
Right.
And then, you know, Craig is so proud of this pen that you write your initials on your stuff with, and then only a black light will show. And Evelyn's like,
Yeah, this is
shit.
This is
Goodbye.
what, 1930s technology or something? I don't know. Back at the factory, the order has been completed ahead of schedule, and to celebrate, Carla has laid on some Prosecco and beer so everyone can get hammered at work and then take the rest of the day off.
Oh, yeah, because she's so very bossy.
What a bossy boss. Faye immediately gets wired into the vino. 2 glasses at a time, no less.
Right, leaving poor Summer with no vino whatsoever.
Later, she's getting mullered when they run out of wine. Faye suggests that they all go to the Rovers and convince Sean to crack open the karaoke, and Michael helps to rally the troops. Meanwhile, Beth is on the way home and bumps into Craig. He's got stuff to make a special tea for Faye and wonders if Faye will be happy to see him. Beth tells him that Faye is lost without him.
Oh my God.
Which isn't strictly true.
Which isn't true at all.
She does say that she's drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig's first reaction is, she's drunk at work?
Right.
Relax, Craig. It's not as if she deliberately
It's not
lied
like
to
she's
her
a
boss.
cop.
It's not like she deliberately lied to her boss to get you off a murdering Ted or anything like that.
Right. Seriously.
At the Rovers, Kirk is singing, and Sean is regretting setting up the karaoke in the first place.
Now, I'm mad about this because we know he has a nice singing voice. And yet they made him sing
What
badly.
happened to the Arsehole song from like a couple of years ago?
Right. That was great.
Well, it was in tune.
Right.
Well.
Yeah.
It was near
it's like they're doing their damnedest to make sure we never like a thing that Kirk does ever again.
You can't forget that he can sing.
Right.
It's like the Big Bang Theory forgot that Penny couldn't sing, remember?
Right, yeah. And then they
I never forgave them for that.
No. As one of the many unforgivable things about that show.
Yeah, it hasn't stood the test of time very well,
really
has
hasn't.
it? I mean, Friends hasn't, obviously, but The Big Bang Theory even more so. There's no actual jokes in it.
No.
It's just people saying things long-windedly.
Right. And there really are no plots until they all get girlfriends.
Yeah, and then all their characters change.
For the better, for the most part.
But then they just don't know what to do with Raj.
Right, yeah. And
Like
then,
for
of
like
course,
4 years, they don't know what to do with Raj.
and then, of course, young Sheldon comes along and totally rewrites Sheldon's backstory.
Yeah, and does it much better, it has to be said. Anyway, where were we? Yeah, so Craig is singing and Sean is regretting setting up the karaoke. Meanwhile, Faye begins to flirt a bit with Michael, and the two of them head outside. Faye immediately goes for it, but he's like, whoa, and she's like, what, don't you fancy me? And he's like, you're pished, and she's like, oh, it's because of my menopause stuff, innit?
And he's like, what?
No, you're pished, and you're going out with Craig. And he tells her to go home and sleep it off, but now that she's morose, because she's thinking that Craig has dumped her. But when she gets home, Craig is asleep on the couch. He wakes up and announces that he was dreaming about driving a tank down Coronation Street.
He's going to kill them all at some point, isn't he?
I think.
It's going to be cop rage.
No, I'm so surprised because our friend Charlie Millward at the Daily Express, he
Promised the death.
he is a prophet of death, and he sees death in the slightest little comment, and I thought he's bound to pick up on this, and he didn't. There's no Daily Express article about this where they
Have they fired
espouse
him?
a theory. He's been writing a lot of stories about Emmerdale lately.
Oh,
I think he might have been taken off Coronation Street
right.
for all the death stuff.
All the death stuff.
Yeah, so he's dreaming about driving a tank down Coronation Street. She apologises for being a bitch to him. He apologises for being him. They make up in a way that couples with absolutely zero chemistry make up. On Friday, Craig and Faye are stepping out, co-playing as a couple who have chemistry and who are wearing black today.
Right, yeah,
She's-
they're both wearing black. It's like they're both caterers now.
They're matchy-matchy. It's
It's
weird. She sees Michael and shits her pants a wee bit, remembering the absolute red neck she gave herself the other day. At the factory, Beth tells Faye that she's relieved that she and Craig have kissed and made up. Beth and Kirk like walking about in the scuddy, which was awkward when Craig was there. Beth warns Faye that Craig isn't all butch and tough. He's a softie inside.
Oh, really? Tell
Faye-
us about it.
Faye
Beth.
meets Michael in Nina's Rolls to apologise for last night. He's understanding and thinks that the early menopause stuff sounds like a bit of a nightmare. You have my ears whenever you need them, just not my lips, he says.
Yes.
So later on, Faye and Craig arrive at the Rovers, but when she sees Michael, she insists that they sit in a table in the corner near the toilets, which
Right.
Craig takes as a sign that Faye is gagging for her hole,
Yes.
which
Romantic.
she is, but not with him. And that's as far as we get with that this week. Yes, there's a little bit of a sharing of looks between Faye and Michael, a little bit of longing. You think that there might be something going on.
Let's not forget, Michael's whole argument initially was that she was drunk. He was being a gentleman.
Yes.
When she says, "Don't you fancy me?" he doesn't say, "No, I don't fancy you." He says, "No, you're drunk, and you're with Craig."
Again, it is probably gentlemanly not to say that you don't fancy someone. I think he does, though. The way that they've been... Or is he just feeling awkward about the conversation?
Well,
I don't know.
that's possible as well. I just, quite frankly, I would rather Faye with anyone other than Craig.
But I kind of think it's the pair of them. Because as Carla says, you know, Faye's not exactly exuberant.
No.
Michael is. Or
Yes.
Michael was, at least.
Yes.
I'm
just glad that they remembered that Michael and James exist this week. Mm-hmm. Just happy about that. Thank you very much, Coronation Street, for reminding us that Michael and James exist.
Yeah, Michael turned up in a couple of storylines.
Yes.
I wouldn't
James
be,
actually got to speak.
Yeah, that'll be him for the month. I don't think that Michael and Faye would necessarily be bad together.
It could be worse.
But then
because Craig is worse than anyone. Craig is worse than Faye and Seb. Faye and Seb, at least,
well, they had the fact that they looked like each other going for them.
they made sense. Faye and Craig just...
But they look like brother and sister, though.
Even the way Craig and Faye got together just kind of seemed like the show was kind of like, I don't know, let's mash these two together and see what happens.
That's pretty much what happened, I think.
Yeah.
I can't even remember
And
why
it
they got
just
together in the
doesn't,
first place.
and it just doesn't work. Like all of a sudden, Craig said, "Oh, I've always been interested in Faye," and we were like, "Were you? Did you?"
Because he was interested in Bethany.
Right, and then she's like, "Yeah, all right, sure."
And Faye's like
And
the
that's
opposite
it.
of Bethany.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't Bethany's biggest fan either.
No. It just
She had
doesn't.
something about her, though.
It just doesn't work, you know. And sometimes things don't work, and that's fine. And these are the times when you should let things go, you know, and put people with people that they do work well together. It's like Todd. We like Todd when he's at home with his mum and the Undertaker. We are less fond of Todd when he's with Billy and Paul.
And unfortunately,
Summer.
yeah.
It feels like this has run its course, and there's nothing that they can do to make this work.
Going back to some of the commentary that I saw last week and continuations of it this week, some thoughts that I've seen would suggest that the reason why they don't work is because the show isn't letting them be a couple. They don't show affection for each other. And so if they don't show affection for each other, because all that they got this week was he kissed the top of her head.
And they kind of snuggled on the couch a little bit.
And he kissed the top of her head.
And he tried to micromanage her life and infantilize
I don't think that's
her.
intimate, though.
No, but it was an attempt to make it look like he really cares about her. And it backfired because it was bad. Because, I mean, we've seen them attempt to lock lips a few times.
Have we?
Yeah, because remember the first time they had sex?
I don't think
And
we got
it
to see
happened
that,
off
did
camera, but we did see them sort of kiss.
we? Did we? I don't think we did, because I think that was COVID time. I don't think we've seen them kiss.
I think we have, just like minimal. But I mean, there are lots of couples on the street that we never see together. And we recognize that they have more chemistry than Craig and Faye. Nina and Asha, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Peter and Carla. You never see them together anymore, but they are still a couple. Addie...
Yeah, even when Peter's throwing golf clubs about and Carla's there, there's still a connection between them.
Yeah.
You can see it pretty much, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Sally and Tim haven't had sex in forever. It was an actual storyline, and yet they still had chemistry together.
Mm-hmm. I think the mistake has been making Craig a copper.
Well, he is copper on top.
That may have got a chuckle 2 hours ago, but at the harsh end of 10 o'clock, not a chance.
Boo. I don't know. It feels like they're trying to make something here, and it's just not catching.
They've made her dull, and he is not the most convincing policeman in the world. And I think the combination of those two kind of make their characters feel like they repel rather than attract.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Sometimes
on.
things don't work, and
I know.
that's fine. It's
That's
nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. But the thing is that you have to recognize this doesn't work and move on. And they're just not allowing that to happen.
No.
Which is what it is.
Talking of moving on,
Yes.
our next storyline is Tim's mum about the house.
Woohoo! No Ryan sightings this week, though. That's sad.
On Monday, at Speed Dial, Billy is dropping off Christian Rock Festival tickets for the raffle that Yasmeen and Zeedan are running.
Yes.
Yasmeen and Zeedan,
Muslim.
Christian Rock Festival tickets.
Well, it's not like they're for Zeedan and Yasmeen. It's not like they're going to go to the Christian rock concert.
Even so, though. Right?
It's just for the, I'm sure somebody will bid on it at the little auction thingy that they're going to do later. I'd bid on it just out of pity. I went to a number of those in my youth.
Oof. You're so cool.
I am.
He leaves and Zeedan talks to Yasmeen about Alia being worried about her with the whole Stu business. Zeedan tries to broach the subject that there might be something in Homeless Stu's ramblings about the miscarriage of justice, but Yasmeen is not interested. Later, Zeedan speaks with Craig, who's been doing some digging, and he can confirm that D.S. Lennox, the one who hated crusts, remember? Mm-hmm. He did take early retirement, as Homeless Stu suggested, and the word in the street is that he was forced into it after an illicit affair.
Uh-oh.
So I think I was right.
We're not, because they're not saying who the affair was with.
I think I was right on this. So Zeedan jumps onto Vogel and is doing a search on Lennox until he hears Yasmeen and Billy, and they come out the kitchen or wherever laughing at his new stand-up routine, and this kills Zeedan's stalking mood and he closes the laptop. Back home, Homeless Stu has sent visiting orders to Yasmeen, Alia and Zeedan, begging for a chance to tell his side of the story. What a prick, says Yasmeen, and she tears up her visiting order and throws it in the recycling. But notably, we don't see Zeedan doing anything with his, and Alia's not here at the moment.
No.
On Wednesday at home, Yasmeen is preparing for the raffle at the fundraiser. She's already raised hundreds of pounds. Z has a day off, and Yasmeen insists that he goes and enjoys himself, but not like that. Tim's mum,
Maybe like that.
Tim's mum appears with a bunch of flowers to give away at the raffle and is thrilled to see Yasmeen looking positive. Later, PC Tinker is a chatty Cathy again with Zeedan, confirming that there was nothing suspicious about Lennox taking early retirement, so now Zeedan thinks Homeless Stu was guilty after all. PC Tinker also reveals that Homeless Stu is probably going to get out soon, which infuriates Zeedan.
Right, yeah. Even though he's done nothing wrong in this he was just talking.
Yeah, talking of people doing something wrong. Should Craig be having these conversations?
No. No, he should not. He absolutely should not. Even the crickets agree.
He never learns.
No.
So, Zeedan is at Nina's Rolls later and he chats with Roy about the fundraiser raffle and about Homeless Stu, who Roy always thought was a decent sort of egg. But he's obviously put Yasmeen through hell, and this puts a flea in Zeedan's ear. He's going to do something about this whole getting out thing.
Yeah.
So at the fundraiser, Yasmeen gives a speech to the women present and announces that they've raised over £1,000 so far and asks them to dig deep and to donate more. After the speech, a woman approaches Yasmeen and explains what an inspiration she's been to her, helping her to remove herself from an abusive relationship. And then she asks Yasmeen how she can learn to trust men again, and this triggers Yasmeen into a bit of a panic, and she swiftly retreats to the kitchen.
Yes.
Now, Roy comes round with cakes for the fundraiser and helps
Aw.
Yasmeen through her panic attack, telling her to breathe in and then breathe out.
Yes. Roy is very good this week.
Yeah.
It's nice to see Roy in all his glory this week.
He was dropping some crumbs.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
He was also dropping some truth bombs,
He
both
was
in
doing
this
that.
storyline and another storyline.
Crumbs and truth bombs. She tries to call Zeedan to come help, but gets his voicemail. She can't do this on her own, she cries, but Roy has taken off his anorak and is putting on a pink pinny.
Yes, he
and
is.
tells her that she doesn't need to do this on her own. And then wah-wah guitar starts playing in Yasmeen's head as she sees this Adonis before her. That was a look, though, right?
I don't think so.
What was the look about?
I think she was just still kind of agitated and a little relieved,
Oh, was she?
but still agitated.
Because
If you're in that sort of agitated state about men and never being able to trust a man again, that's not the time that you typically get horny for one of your best friends.
I don't know, sometimes it just happens, though, right?
No,
Am I right, guys?
no.
Gavin,
Speaking for the ladies.
Gavin, would you like to come up and explain your working to the rest of the class? No, that's fine. I'll take an F.
People did seem to like your little edit on the Twitter though.
A little bit of Barry White there.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum. That's that was the Friends little thing when Denise Richards was shaking down her hair in front of Chandler and Ross.
Yes.
So anyway,
Remember Denise Richards? Whatever happened to her?
yeah, I remember her quite intimately.
Not that intimately though.
I've seen stills.
You've
meanwhile-
paused Starship Troopers at just that right time.
No, she was in Playboy.
Right, but also she was naked in Starship
Was she?
Troopers in the shower scene.
Oh, well, I'm watching that as soon as we're done here. Meanwhile, Zeedan has gone to see Stu in prison and tells him to stay the fuck away from his gran. Stu manages to explain about how since he's been working and how since he's got some money together, he's applied for his case files to prove his innocence. If he was guilty, why would he waste his time and money doing that?
He wouldn't.
And Zeedan sucks a thoughtful tooth at this. This was news to him. He didn't know that you could apply for your case files.
Right.
Zeedan goes to see Adam, who confirms that yes, this is a thing, and promises to make some preliminary inquiries. Zeedan is not looking forward to telling his gran about all this. Adam advises calling Canny until he knows more. Maybe wait until you've actually seen the paperwork.
Right.
But
yes.
Zeedan doesn't understand the colloquialism and leaves determined to tell the truth. So Adam thinks that Zeedan's going to tell the truth here.
Right.
So Z goes back to speed dial and Yasmeen admits to having a panic attack and then asks what Z's been up to today, and he says, oh, no, nothing much, just watching Starship
Stuff.
Troopers. And yes, indeed. After the fundraiser, Adam, who moments earlier had advised Zeedan to call Carrie, bumps into Yasmeen on the street and tells her that he's requested Stu's case files just as Zeedan requested. His what? Says Yasmeen, and that Adam clutches his collar. Me and my big mouth, he seems to say. Back home, Yasmeen has it out with Zeedan. He announces that he thinks Stu is telling the truth and explains about the case files. Yasmeen shouts that Homeless Stu is a liar. Stu...
A lying liar.
And at this point, Stu has decided to try and call Zeedan, and Zeedan answers, despite Yasmeen's protest for him not to, and tells him that Adam is going to help to get the files. He passes the phone to his gran, who promptly hangs up.
Yes. Yeah. Stu's like, oh, please, please let me talk to her. And Z's like, I don't think that's a good idea. And he's like, oh, please, please. And Z hands her the phone. And it's like, what are you doing, pal?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to your gran. If she doesn't want to talk to him, she doesn't want to talk to him.
Right.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a great time to be having this conversation, but
no.
His hand has been forced by Adam. So on Friday, Yasmeen is still in the mood with Zeedan about the Stu thing, but he maintains that he has questions about Stu's guilt. She isn't interested in listening and wants nothing to do with it. Then there's a knock at the door, which gives Yasmeen a fright. Alia's back, and we learn that they've changed the locks, presumably to stop Alia coming home. Zeedan explains to Alia what's been going on for the last week about the case files and Stu's innocence. Alia doesn't really care and thinks it's too much for Yasmeen. Zeedan thinks Stu deserves a fair trial, just like the one he got 3 decades ago. So another fair trial. Adam meets up with Zeedan to conduct legal business in the community garden. There's an outstanding fee before they can get their hands on the case file, and the old solicitors are looking for $2,000. Zeedan says that he can get the money, and this is overheard a little bit by Alia. So later, Alia and Zeedan are chatting about this, and Zeedan asks her to go halves on the legal cost to get the files. This is about doing the right thing for Stu, making sure justice is done, just like it was done for Yasmeen that time she killed Tim's dad.
Right. And Alia says, that was completely different.
Mm-hmm. But she's convinced.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Right.
I think because he says, well, I'll pay you back.
Right.
One way or the other.
And they talk a little bit about Hashim and how, they need to, they didn't do right by Hashim by letting him die, even though he was an awful person who was blackmailing them and extorting from them.
Right.
So this is to balance
that whole
things.
That whole mess went away, didn't it?
It did.
With the fire.
Right. Yeah. And Zeedan's ex-wife just disappeared. Whatever happened to her? She was lovely.
And their brothers-in-law. Or his brothers-in-law.
Right. Her brothers.
Oh, they got to jail, didn't they?
They did.
We saw none of this. This was all hearsay, right?
Yes.
So, something isn't adding up in this whole Stu business, says Zeedan. Alia is worried about getting thrown out again by Yasmeen, but Zeedan promises to pay her back. So Alia and Zeedan go and give Adam the go-ahead. He says that he'll take a look at the files for a free meal at Speed Dial, but he warns him, though, that these files can be pretty gnarly.
Right.
And his advice is that some things are best left to the professionals. Who does he mean by that?
Well,
does he mean getting proper legal representation? Or
right,
something?
yeah, which would cost an arm and a leg.
Right. So that's as far as we get with that this week. It seems, I think we knew this, that Stu's innocent.
Well, yeah, of course Stu's innocent. Look at him.
And I think we're getting...
Look at his glorious hair.
And those baby blue eyes.
Mm-hmm. Daniel Craig eyes.
How could anyone with those baby blues be responsible for anything?
No.
Apart from minor embezzlement.
Right.
And maybe a little bit of light.
Drunk and disorderly.
Mm-hmm.
And cheating on your wife.
Like common assault or something. Those baby blues, they're something else. So I'm more and more convinced that this Lennox has something to do with it, because there is no point of this character being a thing if he doesn't have something to do with it.
Right, and there's no point in saying that he had an affair and he was pushed out because of this affair, because typically cops aren't pushed out because of affairs unless...
Well, it depends on who the affair is with.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Unless it's a conflict of interest with their job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, why would they even say that if it wasn't important?
What about Yasmeen's reaction to all this? How's that working for you?
I don't mind it. I can believe that she would have that panic attack and everything. That she, because that does tend to happen. Even years later, if something triggers you, I think it was really nice that Roy was there and Roy was helpful. Mm-hmm. And it's not like we see this happen to her all the time. So,
I think people, or I think what I've seen comments on, suggest that Yasmeen's had a little bit of a 180 in terms of her character, and she's a little bit more snippy at Zeedan for this, and she's not, even that she's overreacting. And I don't think she's overreacting.
I don't think she's overreacting at all. I think she's had a very traumatic experience. And it's amazing how well she's done after that traumatic experience, as it is.
Yeah, because remember, for the longest time, Tim's mum was just employed to come in every now and again and say, it's nice to see you looking happy again,
yes.
Yasmeen.
Yes.
And she's still saying that.
Right.
So that's a kind of cue that she's not quite got over everything that's going on.
It takes a while.
Which was a little bit on the traumatic side.
Yeah, it takes a while, and there does tend to be some backsliding if something triggers you. Mm-hmm. It's just like with other forms of mental illness, like alcoholism and stuff. There's going to be backsliding. And there's going to be backsliding. There's going to be things that is just going to trigger something in your brain that has been permanently altered by the traumatic experience. Mm-hmm. And these things are going to happen. I don't think it's an overreaction at all. And it's not like this happens all the time. And if she's never going to get back to the kind of happy-go-lucky Yasmeen she was before Tim's dad was on the scene, that's realistic. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely realistic. Just like we're never going to get the old Shona back.
No, that's never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
Yeah, if I think there is a noticeable difference in Yasmeen's character, then that is in keeping with Yasmeen's character almost. Yeah.
She's very quick to anger, and that's just going to have to be okay. It's all right for women to be angry. Relax, people.
Adam was very quick to go from, this is going to cost you a fortune, to give me a free curry and I'll have a look at them.
Well, he said he'll have a look. He did say he's not going to take the case and spend hours on it. Mm-hmm. He said he'd have a quick look through for a free meal. Did you notice how he kind of just
call that $12.50 an hour, shall we?
Throws poor dead Imran under the bus a wee bit by saying, no, Imran would do mates rates and favors for friends, but I'm not Imran.
Right. Oh, we've noticed, Adam. Don't you worry about that.
I'm the evil white guy who likes money.
Moving on then. Our next storyline is Spider Nugent into the Spider Pants. On Monday. I can see the trailer for this. Anyway, on Monday, Adam is at the bistro and can't resist having a pop at Leanne about Toyah and Spider getting cosy together. Leanne reminds him of the time he got cosy with his uncle's missus.
Yeah.
That shut you up.
Good job, Leanne.
In Nina's roles, Spider and Toyah chatting when Griff, a fellow activist, shows up, and Griff quickly tells her about the number of times he's been bothered with the law. Spider tries to usher Griff away, but Toyah is intrigued and invites Griff to join them.
Yes, and have a cuppa.
And by the time that they're leaving, Griff has been talking to Toyah about a protest and against Spider's wishes, who appears to be thinking that this may jeopardise her case. She decides to attend.
Or maybe blow his cover with his secret family. If that's what's going on.
I'm not sure. After the protest, Toyah has insisted that she hasn't been the one that's been super gluing herself to anything. She's been the rear guard action, but not like that.
But maybe like that.
So she goes round to the bistro to brag about her activism to Leanne. Leanne is singularly unimpressed, and even Nick, who has so far been of the opinion that having a hobby is a good thing, has to agree that if she had got herself arrested while on bail, she'd have been well and truly fucked. And Leanne blames all this on Spider, who she thinks is leading Toyah astray.
Yeah, Toyah, an adult woman who's more than capable of making her own decisions, is being led astray by a
one of those decisions every morning is to refresh that plum nail varnish that she has on. Toyah leaves and
I've
meets
got green
up.
on now.
I have one blue pinky nail.
Yes, and then your toesies.
Your toes, they're looking bonny.
Neon green.
Yeah. When did you do that?
Last night while watching She-Hulk. Would you imagine?
She-Hulk's a lawyer?
Yeah, She-Hulk.
What pish is this?
She-Hulk has been a lawyer since the 80s. Get with it, man.
So she's
always been a lawyer.
just hulking out being a lawyer.
Yeah.
What pish is this?
It's great. What? Daredevil can be a lawyer?
Who?
And She-Hulk can't?
Who?
Daredevil. He's also a superhero lawyer who's blind. Remember, Ben Affleck made a horrible Daredevil movie.
Ben Affleck made a horrible movie?
He's made one or two.
Anyway. Toyah leaves and meets up with Spider and the Rovers, spied on by Adam, who's looking
He's
very much the baddie twirling his moustache at the bar.
Spied a spider. Yeah, it's like, calm down, Adam. It's not like you and Imran were like best friends.
If only he was this angry at the woman who threw him from the mezzanine level of a mall.
Seriously.
Anyway, they chat about how they got their hole the other day, and Spider confirms that he doesn't regret it for a moment. He takes his chance, though, to warn her away from Griff. But Toyah thanks him for making her feel alive again.
Oh, but not like that.
Later,
But maybe like that.
outside, Spider is back on that phone again, having more secret conversations with someone when he bumps into Leanne, who rips his ear about leading Toyah astray. She calls him a cliche. He thinks she's doing Toyah a disservice, but Leanne thinks this has disaster written all over it.
Right. And insults his flannel.
Yeah, calls him smelly.
Yeah.
He looks a bit smelly, I have to say.
A little. Not too bad.
Earthy.
The flannel is clean.
Earthy is the adjective I'm going to use. Now, I am going to maintain that Spider is a good guy in all this. And this is all misdirection. We're supposed to think that he has a wife and a brood of kids or something like that, but I don't think he does. I think this is going to turn out to be something that is quite explainable. Well, obviously it's going to be quite explainable because someone, presumably Spider at some point, is going to have to explain it. So it has to be explainable.
Right. It's going to be super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Absolutely. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just activist buddies or something, isn't it? I mean, the way that he's having this conversation, it could be he's got an appointment to meet up with somebody. Or do you think he's up to no? Well, he's not really up to no good anyway, because the conversation that they had was, yes, they got their hole with each other, but it was friends with benefits of anything.
Right. Yeah. I don't think he expected that to happen, and I don't think he expected to bump into Toyah, and I don't think he expected to be as invested with Toyah as he currently is.
Or maybe to find Toyah in such need.
I think he was there for some sort of activism thing and is now invested in the whole Toyah thing, and so is not getting home when he said he was going to get home.
He's found Toyah very much in need of a friend. And so, because of the way that they've kind of approached their relationship, even if he does have a wife and a brood of kids, so he can still be there for
they
Toyah.
should just maybe not have sex again.
Maybe they just knock that on the head.
Yeah, we don't want to get into this conversation again this week.
Did we do this last week? Extensively.
You're already mad at me.
She also seems to have very much the support of Leanne in this,
Yes.
though. So it's not as if she's entirely alone.
I don't support her hair color, though.
Leanne's?
Toyah's.
Oh, I quite like it.
Yeah, because now Leanne and Toyah look too much alike. Because they're both blonde now. Yeah, I like Toyah with the darker hair.
If you're ever in doubt, Toyah's the one with the plum fingernails.
Right.
That's how I tell them apart. Plus, if you shout Toyah,
right, yeah.
that one turns round.
And who am I to talk with my reddish hair with blonde streaks in it?
Moving on then.
Moving on.
Our next story is, finally, Audrey Hm-Bop.
Oh, finally.
Ugh.
Finally.
Yeah,
Oh, thank God.
we're kind of sneaking this one in midway through.
Ugh.
I think this will be to the surprise of no one that if Monday in this storyline had been Monday in its entirety, I wouldn't have been complaining.
No, me neither.
All right, let's go through it then. On Monday, Stephen is at the law office for an appointment with Adam about Audrey's trust, and we don't really know the specifics of this, but whatever it is, Stephen signs the papers, and
Right
Adam
away.
tells him that all he needs now is a signature from Audrey, and it's all done.
Right. And nobody needs to witness these signatures? We don't need these witnessed by a third party?
Oh, they'll just pull somebody in off the street, I would imagine.
Right, but that doesn't seem to happen at all.
So anyway, Stephen fucks off with his important envelope and a pen. And he walks round to number 8 explaining that he needs her to sign something, but a fabulous looking Audrey's just put her toe through Gail's tights, which isn't as dodgy as it sounds. So he has to nip upstairs to change for her special afternoon tea. This was the thing that was arranged last week.
Ooh la la.
So at the Rape Hotel, Roy, Rita and Ken are already there and waiting.
This is a different rape hotel, though, isn't it?
Nope.
It looks different.
Nope.
It looks different.
Nope. It's exactly the same
Because
one.
there are windows in this one.
And this gives Audrey a bit of anxiety as she holds back for a moment to collect her courage before walking to meet her friends at their table. And they are all thrilled to see her.
Yes, and they're all looking very fancy.
Yep.
Even Roy in a
Well-
clean anorak.
The chat, though, is a little bit awkward, seeing as this is the first time they've been out together since forever. So Roy starts melting the ice a little bit by talking about the fly on his trousers. This loosens the mood, and Audrey declares that nothing can spoil the afternoon. And then she sees Claudia and Charles arrive, asking for their usual table. Charles, you'll remember, was the old codger who was scamming the residents at Shady Acres.
Yes.
Incidentally, we'll learn that this whole afternoon tea thing is 40 quid a head.
Yes.
For tea and sandwiches with a crust cut off?
Well, and Prosecco.
Rita is pissed when everyone else seems to be more interested in Claudia and Charles, as they reckon this meant that Claudia was playing away when she was with Ken.
Uh-oh.
Rita says, right, I've had enough of this. I'm going to go and spy on them. And so the others decide that they're going to join in. And
Except for Roy.
And it seems that the relationship is on the rocks, and Claudia keeps casting up Ken because she says to him, you're the most boring man I've ever met.
And I was with Ken Barlow.
Charles says that Ken is like a cross between Albert Finney and Mother Teresa. And Ken, who is hiding behind a plant at this point, gives some thought and then nods in agreement.
Yes, he does not object.
But as Charles goes to leave, he spots Ken, and then Audrey sticks her head round the corner.
Cooey.
And Rita, who I think has been drinking since breakfast, sticks her head through a potted plant and says, hello.
She was the most hidden of all of them.
Right. Claudia ends up joining the four of them once Charles is fucked off. She confirms that she wasn't with Charles when she was with Ken. Rita remembers that they've missed Audrey's birthday, so Roy sneaks away to do something about that. Rita, drunk as a sailor, remembers that she once got her hole off of Ken, and Ken quickly motions to the waiter for the bill, and also to cut Rita off. Claudia remembers that Roy and Evelyn were arrested for indecent behaviour in the Woody.
Yes.
And
Thank you, Claudia.
And Rita's been to a swingers party. And then Audrey announces that she tried to kill herself 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
And at this, the light in the restaurant dims, and a waiter arrives with Audrey's belated birthday cake, and
sings
he's
happy
singing
birthday.
happy birthday and looking around wondering why nobody's joining in. So the gang feel ashamed and embarrassed that Audrey could have felt so low and none of them noticed. Audrey explains that a nosy neighbour was delivering a catalogue or something and noticed that she'd passed out on the floor and she was rushed to hospital. She apologises for putting everyone on a downer and then insists it's good vibes only from now on, and then she nips off for a shite. Claudia takes this as her cue to fuck off, so when Audrey comes back, we're back to the four of them. Audrey has to reveal that she hasn't told Gail, and now she's on antidepressants, but when she shows off the package to prove that she's got them, Rita's quick to point out that she hasn't actually taken any. Audrey recounts a life full of love and people and friends, but all of those blessings have just made her hate herself more. They all compare ailments and feelings of self-pity. Audrey just hates feeling useless, and her cataracts really were the start of her spiral. She's not sleeping and she's drinking too much, and she just feels more useless. She misses not falling apart with Alfie, not Abby's Alfie.
Yeah.
Ken thinks Audrey still has so much to offer the world. Roy points out her legacy in her children and her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren. Rita says that they've all loved and been loved, and they agree to meet up again more often.
Yes.
Roy asks to consider speaking to Gail about this, but Audrey feels better speaking to friends, and she promises to take her pills tonight once she's sobered up. Later, Roy, Rita and Ken have a debrief at Nina's Rolls. They can't tell Gail themselves, but they agree to offer support and make sure they really do meet up more often. Rita suggests creating a WhatsApp group or something, and they use testing Nina's vegan ginger cake as a ruse. Meanwhile, Audrey goes to the bistro to speak to Nick, ignoring Stephen, who's still desperate to get that fucking envelope looked at.
Seriously.
Audrey has good news for Nick, and whatever it is, it generates a smile and a hug from him, while Stephen stands back and looks pissed off.
Yes.
So Audrey goes to her salon and takes her pills while she remembers her Alfie. There's still life in the old girl yet, she says.
Yes.
And that was Monday.
Yes. Oof.
And that was
Oof. And that's moment of the week already taken care of.
exceptionally good.
Yeah. So good.
From start to finish.
Absolutely. I kind of wish Claudia had stuck around a little bit
Yeah,
longer.
so do I. But,
'Cause she's so fabulous.
but the reason why she left made sense.
Yes.
It was the conversation was
Right.
too heavy.
And
that-
yet
and
Claude
she's not
and
a two-
Aud should be, Claudia should be the one that Audrey feels the most comfortable talking to.
Well,
but
they'd fallen out.
they had. But she'd fallen out with Rita as well.
Yeah, that was
More recent.
kind of mentioned on Wednesday,
Hmm.
but yeah. I mean, we're saying this now, and we've said it before, and we won't be the first people to say it, and we won't
No.
be the last people to say it.
Absolutely
But
not.
Coronation Street gets it absolutely right when it does things like this.
Yes. More of this. Less of drugs and guns that float and
Kidnapping Kelly.
murders. 30-year-old murders. Yeah, more of this. More of people just trying to live their lives because everything Audrey's going through is real life. It's none of it is something kind of out of the ordinary for normal, regular people. And that's who this show was made for when they first started making it. Get back to that, because character-driven stories about real-life issues in a way that is interesting and not over the top and not Summer constantly fainting over and over and over again.
Right.
It's just, yeah, it was just really beautifully done. And I enjoyed the conversation they were all having and the reminiscing and stuff.
Yep.
And the bringing up of picadillos of the past.
Right.
Yeah,
Ken's reaction to being outed as having been there with Rita was hilarious, as he's just like looking around for a waiter just to
Right.
Okay, we're done now.
we're done now.
But I think it, I mean, it's been the older or the old crew being involved in this, but this sort of thing isn't an exclusive right of this age group of character. There are characters
No, absolutely not.
from Tyrone, right?
Right.
There are legacy characters that have been in the show for a long
Forever.
time. And there are characters who are kind of new to the show,
Right.
Evelyn, who
Kind of just fit
can
right in.
easily have this kind of storyline and conversation,
Right.
and have something that's driven entirely
Yeah.
through relationships and
Right.
stuff. So it's not something that has to be the oldest members of the cast, although it's lovely that they did it. But you've got Fizz and Tyrone, and you've got Sally and Tim, and you've got, there's a bedrock of older characters who have this history, who the audience feel like we're growing old with, and we're growing up with, that have this connection with the audience, that can pull this sort of thing off. So there's no reason why this has to be a one-off, or this has to be something that's exceptional and remarked upon. I've never seen Coronation Street Twitter so positive about the show as it was
Right.
that night.
Absolutely.
And
For good reason.
And it was positive exclusively. It was unanimous praise for it.
Yeah.
I think because it's so unusual, it has that even bigger impact.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know.
It was nice.
The way that they handled Audrey announcing her announcement,
Right.
as well, could have been done so mawkishly or
Right.
badly, but the way that she had the kind of an Aiden-esque look on her face,
Right.
and she's kind of there, but she's not really there.
Right.
And then she realizes that she has to say something, that this is
Right.
this is going to save her
Right.
by saying something.
Right.
And when she just said it and it
Right.
came out, it was like, oh, it's just perfectly done.
Right. And it was still a little funny
Because you had the cake,
because
right?
you had the cake and the happy birthday to you. But they didn't linger on that, you know? They moved on from that. It was like you had a little bit of chuckle to break the mood, to break the ice a little bit. And then we go on to a serious conversation. And it was lovely. And all of her friends were supportive. I have seen some people say, and I kind of feel this way too, that it's surprising that none of the others mentioned their issues with mental health
Right.
before. You know, because that's just kind of the way that my brain works, is that you tell me this and I can relate to you by telling you my story.
Yeah, but this was Audrey's story.
But it was
to tell
Audrey's story
on
to tell,
Monday.
right.
So we can forgive them that. I think.
Right.
Yeah, it was just beautifully done, and the way that it finished with the kind of, you know, there's a little bit of gilding the lily with Alf's voice in the background, but even that didn't jolt as much as
No.
as the fancy things have jolted in the past. And that little moment when she's in the salon again,
Oh, by herself.
taking her pills all by herself and saying that she has more to give. It
Right.
was just a great
There's
way to
more
finish
life
it.
in her.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, it was great.
Brilliant stuff.
Good stuff.
On Wednesday, at number 8, a whole bunch of boxes for Audrey have been delivered. She announces that she's decided to open the salon after all, and she asks Max to help move the boxes over. So at the salon, Stephen's arrived to help out with a chamois leather. Audrey explains that she plans to spend a bit of cash upgrading the place. Shona approves, but Stephen looks a bit cagey about the whole thing. Later, in Nina's roles, Shona tells Ken and Rita about Audrey opening the salon, which they're thrilled to hear. Stephen appears and there's a bit of confusion when he starts talking about Audrey's medical issues. He's talking about her feet, but Ken and Rita think that he's talking about her trying to kill herself. Mm-hmm. They don't give too much away, and Ken insists it's nothing much to worry about anymore anyway. Mm-hmm. Back at the salon, Evelyn turns up to see what's what and wonders if a portrait of Alf deserves pride of place in a fancy modern hair salon.
Yeah.
She'll be back for a trim once they've sorted out their discounts.
Right.
Stephen arrives and asks Audrey if she's okay, mentioning his conversation with Ken and Rita. Audrey's getting a bit pissed off with people continually asking if she's okay. She insists that she's fine. He's worried that she's spending all her money on her bucket list, and she tells him if there's anything up, then he'll be the first to know. I think really what he's worried about is that she's spending all her money.
Right. Yeah. And so there'll be nothing left for him.
Right.
Once he finally signs this paperwork.
To dig himself out of whatever hole he's in.
Right. Because he's definitely in a hole.
Right. And not a good one.
Yeah.
Later, Ken and Rita show up and apologise for the potential confusion with Stephen earlier. Audrey insists no harm has been done, but her plan to keep the family in the dark has not changed, but she thanks them both for helping her get through her troubles. Back home, Max is exhausted from all the help that he's given Audrey for not sexually or emotionally endangering anyone. Stephen brings up the subject of the paperwork again, but Audrey tells him to stuff up his hole. It's just not important for her at the minute. Oh, pig's tits, says Stephen, and that's as far as we get with that this week. So yeah.
Oh, we're not going to continue.
Well, I just felt like it kind of went in a different direction, and I gave it a title that I'm quite pleased with, so I decided to break it up. Yeah, but we're going to talk about that bit next.
Uh-huh. Is there anything more that we need to say about the whole Audrey opening up the salon? It was nice to see Max being helpful.
For a change.
Yeah. He didn't even know he was going to get money in the end, and he did.
Yeah.
That was nice.
20 quid, was it? I can't remember.
I
It was
can't.
a
I
small
don't know.
sum of money.
It was pink.
Oh, that's a tenner then, I think. I think 20s are purple.
Who knows? All of our money's the same color.
Yeah, and the same size.
Yeah,
Because you hate blind people.
we do.
All right then.
Unless they're Daredevil.
Let's move on then to that other storyline, which I've called www.knickerfactory.omg.
Wow.
On Friday, at the factory, Michael has noticed that their website's shit, and he's losing orders because of it.
Uh-oh.
Carla, who remembers she's a bossy cow now, She orders Sarah to fix it rather than spending her time making 1 million cups of tea in a day. So Sarah goes home to speak to Stephen about the factory website and asks him to speak to Lorenzo, the Italian webmaster. Stephen isn't sure that they can afford Lorenzo. David pipes up that Max can help, and Max shows what he's been working on all summer. Max has invented Tumblr. So Stephen and Max take up the job.
Like Max has invented YouTube.
Stephen making sure that Max doesn't post any links to 8chan. Max and Stephen are shooting video for the new website, which makes Beth cover up her boobs. Carla is shocked when she sees Max in charge of this, thinking the factory's reputation is on the line for this, but Sarah manages to convince Carla because they're only throwing $350 at the problem.
I thought it was $750.
Was it $750?
I think it was $750.
And what's she got to lose, says Stephen. So Max and Stephen are almost ready to put the finishing touches to the website after spending 45 minutes working on it. Max is worried about taking photos of the knickers and seems even reluctant to say the word. Sarah has had concerns about this whole statement of work and has a private word with Stephen about Lorenzo. Turns out that she's given him a call after all, and apparently Stephen still owes him for 6 months' pay.
What?
Stephen thinks quickly on the spot. He hasn't been paid because he's been embezzling money. Typical fucking Italian. Have a laissez-faire attitude to fraud, says Stephen, who's suddenly a little bit racist, who is now concerned that Sarah went behind his back. She apologises while in the background, Max is about to disappear to the gents with a box of knickers. Meanwhile, outside, Carla is shouting at her driver about a failed delivery of silk or something, which means that they're going to miss their next deadline. Stephen offers to make some calls, but Carla tells him to stick his offer up his arse.
Right up his arse.
Stephen goes to see Carla and offers to help again. He knows some UK suppliers that can help out. Carla still isn't interested in this guy who doesn't work at the factory and who basically lives at the factory. He tells her the new website is ready, all done within 1 business day.
Right, and they still haven't taken any, actual photos of the product.
Well, this is what got me. Max shows off his website, which turns out to be a video of knickers and Beth covering her boobs. It's not really a website. He's made a video. Right,
and he's posted this video there, but there are no updated pictures of the product.
No price list, no catalogue.
No.
No contact us.
No. None of the stuff that actually makes a website besides a video of people working in the factory.
Yep. Sarah's just happy that she features in it and he's, you've done a really good job here. Stephen thinks that he's done a great job as well. Sarah has another private word with Stephen to apologise for earlier, and Stephen makes an observation that Sarah is the brains of this operation, the one who gets shit done. Carla just shouts down the phone, arguing with the speaking clock, and Sarah looks quite pleased and vindicated by this.
Not true, though.
Of course not.
No. He's just trying to butter her up.
See, this is the thing that I think we're getting at with the whole Carla suddenly a bossy cow thing now. That
even though she's not being a bossy cow at all.
She's not been. But Stephen's just trying to undermine her and maybe set Sarah up to, I don't know, push Carla out somehow. Although how Sarah could afford that, and Stephen obviously can't afford it because I guess he's broke and using his wife's credit card.
Or, his mystery wife. Or convince Sarah to leave the factory and go into business with him. They need to start taking some photos of the actual product. That's what I'm going to say. And on models as well.
Carla's very, Sarah,
lame.
you fix it. Carla's like, this delivery driver, you've fucked up the order or something.
Right.
Carla's like, I don't want your help. Who are you anyway?
Right, which is true.
Time and time again, we're getting
all of it's justified. All of it's justified. She recognizes that she doesn't know anything about building a website, so she delegates to Sarah to find somebody who knows how to put together a website. She's not supposed to do it on her own. That's what being the boss is delegation.
But we don't.
And she's right in saying, Sarah is right that $750 is not enough to pay a website developer. But Carla is also right that this bit of nepotism where Sarah just gives the job to her 15-year-old nephew is also dodgy AF.
Well, and her 15-year-old nephew who has a little bit of a dodgy track record when it comes to making videos.
Right, yes.
Copyright Mr. Osborne is a Fanny Enterprises Limited. I don't know. I think when we get to see Carla bossing people around, when we don't normally
You're
get...
like so obsessed with Carla bossing
well,
people around.
we don't normally get to see this. So
We do though. She's always been like this.
We don't. Week to
She's
week.
always been the boss.
Week to week, we don't get to see this. They're drawing attention to this, and I think they're drawing attention to this because there's going to be some kind of revolution or something at the knicker factory, and then she's getting pushed out. That's what I believe.
How is she getting pushed out when she doesn't own any shares in the factory?
She does own it.
How does she own it again? Because remember, she sold all her shares and gave them to the knicker people.
No, I think she bought them back
And
again.
then Sarah hired her back. Or Nick hired her back.
No, I think she's got a stake in it. She's definitely got a stake in it.
I don't think she does.
She does, because that's how she gets to talk to Sarah like that.
I think she gets to talk to Sarah like that because Sarah's a mess. And because she's Carla, this is just the way Carla talks. She's always been the boss lady. She's always been Mrs. Connor. Even though she's not Mrs. Connor anymore, she's Mrs. Barlow now. But they're both Mrs. Barlows, which is hilarious. But this has always been her personality. So I don't understand why drawing attention to it means anything when that's just her personality and it always has been.
Well, we will see.
We'll see.
We'll see when it works out, and you will eat humble pie, and you will beg for my forgiveness.
I will
and
not.
I will deny it.
I have never eaten humble pie in my life.
Oh, no.
An American and a Leo.
Yeah. Oh, I actually managed to not say what was on my mind there.
Well done, you.
Good for me.
Good for you.
Our penultimate storyline this evening is Fiddler on Steve's roof. Just a few scenes on Friday. Steve is in the Rovers to pick up a bottle of wine that presumably he can't get from the Co-op or Devs, cheaper. But Jenny is in a mood with Steve as Sinkhole Leo stubbed his toe in the scaffolding that's still outside number one.
Oh, the poor fucking baby. He couldn't see the scaffolding?
The yellow scaffolding?
That's been
He
there
didn't see
forever.
the yellow
he didn't
scaffolding.
See it. He didn't see that.
Steve's still waiting for Ed to fix the roof. Jenny thinks Leo is using his sore toe to cover for missing out on Canada. Yeah, no flies on you, Jenny. Ed is back in the billows yard and gives Paul a rise for looking after the place so well. Then Steve is on his back to take care of the roof, and Ed promises to see what he can
But
do
not like that.
on the promise that there's no more funny business. Steve stops juggling kittens and agrees. So Ed is about to make a start on Steve's roof, but meanwhile at the cab office, Steve's first builder turns up, whose name I don't think I've ever known.
No.
Claiming that he had a mini stroke, so that's why he didn't fix the roof, but doesn't really explain why he didn't get in contact with
And I'm also
Steve
really
to tell him.
confused because the guy who was supposed to fix Steve's roof initially was a friend of Jacob's, and that man does not look like a friend of Jacob.
Oh no, this was another guy.
Wasn't it?
Because a friend of Jacob's fixed the roof badly. This is guy number 2.
I'm so confused about how many people have
That's
been up on Steve's roof,
That's as complicated as it gets.
but not like that.
So, anyway, he's had a mini
I'm
stroke.
making being up on the roof a sexual euphemism.
Yeah, I don't think it's working. Claiming that he had a mini stroke, I don't think is really explanation for not telling Steve what's going on.
Right, yeah, not calling
for-
him.
for a month.
Right, yeah, you'd call or you'd have your wife call. You'd have somebody call.
Steve wants his money back, but the guy has already spent it on his mortgage, so Steve decides to cancel Ed instead. I'm not sure what Steve's doing here.
No, and also, this guy doesn't have any other clients. He was relying just on Steve's money for his mortgage.
Well, it has been a while. There's probably a couple of payments there.
Hi.
What did he take? He took $3,000 for it or something, didn't he? 3 or 4 grand?
I don't
It's a few
even
thousand,
remember
I
this
think.
man.
I don't remember the man either, but I remember Steve paying him up front, so the money has gone. I thought Steve had kind of written this off, and he's already employed Ed to do it. So Ed, who has said, no more funny business, Steve is going to cancel that again. So Ed is going to be absolutely fucking furious out of this, and rightly so. He's just getting messed about, and he's
He's pushing,
dropping other jobs to take
Right.
care of this shite.
Yeah, he's pushing back Ronnie to take care of Steve. Who knows? Maybe he'll be relieved that he doesn't have to take care of Steve. But you know what? He's going to end up having to take care of Steve because this guy's going to flake again. Something's going to happen again.
Well, that's the thing with mini strokes, isn't it? I don't think it stops at one, does it?
No, and sometimes the hospital doesn't tell you you've had them,
Isn't it?
especially if you're of a certain age. I was reading this whole Twitter thread today about people going to the hospital for something else and getting an x-ray, and the radiologist saying, "Oh, well, it looks like you had another mini stroke," and the people saying, "What do you mean another?" That the first doctor never told them that they'd had one.
But I'd noticed it.
Yeah.
Didn't tell them in case it stressed them out so much you had another one. Maybe.
Something like that.
I don't know.
It's wrong.
It is wrong. I don't think Ed's going to be happy about this.
No.
I don't really understand Steve's motivation here.
I don't understand why this is a story.
That scaffolding's been up for so long. It's
Right.
like it's turning into
It's becoming the sinkhole.
Yeah, it's turning into a sinkhole. I wonder if Sinkhole Leo didn't see the scaffolding because
He's
he
so
spends
used
so
to
much time in
sinkholes.
the dark, and sinkholes is like a mole, and so
A very tall mole.
doesn't differentiate with colour. Moving on then to our final storyline, British summertime.
Summertime.
On Wednesday, Aaron has his hoodie on as he turns up for work. Tyrone spots that it looks like he's been in a fight, and he gently ribs him to find out what happened. Aaron throws a fit, tells Tyrone to shut his pie hole, or he'll shut it for him, and of course Summer appears round the corner and sees all this, and sees Aaron stomp off.
Yikes.
Later, Summer's outside the factory on her phone because she's an indispensable PA and stuff. Aaron comes back and calls Summer a drama queen for fussing. Suddenly he thinks that going on holiday with her sounds like an absolute fucking nightmare, and he stomps off again.
Could have told you that.
Later, he goes round to see her at the flat to apologise for being a twat again. She demands to know what's going on, and he admits that it's his dad that beats him up, and I do not give a solitary shit about this. Aaron explains that his dad's had a lot to deal with since his mother left or has died or something.
No, it seems like she left, and she left the kid with the abusive alcoholic man.
Woman. It doesn't happen that often, and he's an alky, and he asks Summer to keep this between the two of them. Summer wants Aaron to chop his alcoholic father to the police, but he refuses to throw him under the bus, and again asks her to keep it between them. Plus,
Yes.
they're going away on holiday tomorrow, so the pair of them can be weird and reactionary with each other, but this time on Espanol.
Yes. He doesn't want to throw him under the bus, just in case it throws him off the wagon.
On Friday, Summer is looking for paper for the printer. It's an exciting start to Friday. Todd arrives, so now all the dads are there, and he isn't sure that Summer should be going away with Aaron as he might be a young Pat feeling.
Uh-oh.
Paul thinks that she should fill her boots, but he's not
What
specific.
does Todd know about Pat Phelan?
with?
Oh, well, he was his stepdad. Never mind.
Yeah, live with him. That's all.
That's all.
Summer needs her holiday forms, whatever they are. Oh, and it's A-level results day, and Billy has pre-filled the username on the Weathy High website, and they all gather round with bated breath to see the results. So, people are just coming and going through Billy's flat now. They're not even knocking.
No.
I think Paul has a key later on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Paul has a key. I don't know if Todd has a key.
We don't find out at this point what Summer's results are.
No. But we know that she's failed at least one class.
PC Tinker is at number 1 doing a shit for some reason.
He was walking his beat and all of a sudden had to pee and thought it was better to go into someone's residence to pee than Roy's Rolls right across the street.
Or his house.
Right.
Just round the
right
corner.
across the street.
He actually said that he was bursting.
Yeah.
That's excellent. I think what had happened was, as we later find out, he's looking for Steve.
Right.
But the
So maybe
fact
he
that
knocked on the door and said, I'm looking for Steve. Steve's not here. Oh, that's too bad. Can I use your bathroom?
yeah, I really need to take a shit. And Amy said, sure.
Right.
Now, I don't think I'd be so kind.
No.
That is your lookout, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The only people that are allowed to shit in these toilets are the people who live in this house.
Well, unless
Now-
they have a party.
And you know, I will return the favour, and I promise I will not shit in your house. And you will thank me for that.
It reminds me of that woman who knocked on our door during lockdown and asked if she could take some of our ferns.
I was quite accommodating to that.
You were, but
if
it
she-
was very, very weird.
But if she'd asked to take a shit in my bathroom, I would have told her to fuck off.
Well, no, yeah, especially since it was during lockdown and none of us had been vaccinated because there weren't no vaccines yet.
The one that I remember from that time was the guy that was walking through our yard. And I said to him,
Can I help
can
you?
I help you? And he said, no. And I said, well, fuck off out my yard then. What's wrong with people? Just cutting across the corner, just walk through my yard.
I don't know.
Anyway,
People.
I'm getting sidetracked.
As it is, people think that we're hermits or that our house is abandoned because they never see us
The
outside.
lights are on. The lights are always on.
But they never see us. We're ghosts
Anyway.
because we use the back door.
Anyway, so PC
Anyway.
Tinker's done his business at number 1. And he leaves without remark, which allows Summer and Amy to chat about the results. Amy got an A and 2 Bs and she's thrilled. Summer got 2 A stars and fuck all for English.
Right, yeah. And an X for English.
Amy advises her to take a year out and then aim for Oxford next year and maybe don't get caught cheating in the exams next time. Summer is packing as Aaron arrives. He's in a cheery mood today and appears to have all his belongings in the world in a backpack. Summer is being a cow because she can't find her passport. They're running late, and because of that, Summer faints. Again. She finally comes round thanks to Aaron. She claims that she forgot to take her insulin, what with the stress of losing her passport and Aaron being beaten up by his alky dad yesterday. She insists that they still are going to go on holiday and they're going to make that flight, and she can test her blood at the airport, even though she still has no idea where her passport is. So, it turns out that Summer and Aaron have missed their flight. Aaron blames it on traffic when he's explaining this to Todd, and no one's boots are going to get filled at this rate. Aaron's taken this remarkably well, considering that he paid for this holiday, he
Right.
cancelled this holiday, and then he set up this holiday again.
Right.
And now he's lost his money on it.
Who knows?
Back home, Summer tries to make up for ruining the vacation for the third or fourth time by asking Aaron to spend the night.
And
Aaron,
take a bath with her.
And Aaron is worried what his dad's going to say, even though he's supposed to be in Spain with Summer at this
Right.
point.
Yeah. That got me too. It's like, wait a second, you're not even supposed to be in town, so of course you can stay.
So Summer goes to run them a bath because apparently that's the sort of thing that Summer does now. Aaron goes into Summer's bag to retrieve her charger, and it looks like he must put his hand into a meat paste sandwich or something because he looks like he's about to vomit. Summer comes back into the room and Aaron is now bad mood Aaron. He found glucose meters in her bag and knows that she's cheating her blood test because he used to do the same thing. She could have died. He's not sure that he can do this anymore, and he's not sure that he wants to.
Haven't they had this conversation already?
Once or twice. She promises to stop, saying that she wanted to look nice for their holiday and not stuffed full of the insulin. He asks how she feels about her body image these days, and she says that she has no idea. He says that when he went through this, no one gave a shit until he found a nurse he could speak to. He knows that people see the condition before they see the person, and he's tried to tell her to speak to people about this 100 times, but she has actually a family who seem to care about her, which is more than he ever did.
She's got 3 dads,
Right.
and none of them beat her up.
He gets it, but she needs to stop, and she promises again and asks him not to tell anyone, pretty much like what he asked her to do yesterday.
Right.
Aaron says that he can't be the only one to know, and she's blessed with a lovely family, and so he refuses to lie for her. Well, I'm not covering for you then, she says. If they support each other in a nice codependent way, then they'll be fine, she says. Aaron goes away to think about it, taking her wee gadget thing that made him angry with him that he's going to get rid of. Billy gets home and is so surprised to see Summer that he clutches his pearls. She
Right.
tells him...
He scares her the way that I scare you sometimes when I'm on the top of the stairs and you open the door and you don't know that I'm there.
Yes. She tells him the truth about why they missed their flight, although she sweetens it by saying that she didn't take enough insulin rather than she didn't take it at all. Your health comes first, he says, probably because he wasn't the one paying for the fucking holiday. Paul comes in without knocking. He spoke to Aaron outside and knows about missing the flight. Billy wants to get one of those flashing permanent glucose monitors. Summer says that she doesn't want one, even when Billy offers to be the one to check on his phone. She snaps and tells him to go fuck his flashing permanent glucose monitor if he fancies it so much. She apologises for snapping. Billy makes her feel worse by saying that he's just trying to help. If I need your help, I'll ask for it, she says. And Paul plays nice guy and suggests that they all go out for dinner. So Billy and Yasmeen are on the street talking about Summer. Aaron passes by and Billy grabs him and then offers his apologies for missing the flight. Aaron plays along and agrees to come to the dinner at the bistro later. Billy, expert reader of people, doesn't seem to spot that Aaron is having a bit of a mental episode at the minute. At the bistro, Billy and Aaron join Summer and Todd, and then Paul arrives. Summer thanks Aaron privately for keeping Stum and promises to return the favour. Aaron doesn't think that he's the best person to help her, but she talks him round. You keep my secret, and I'll keep yours, she says. We've got each other, and that's enough for love. We'll give it a shot. Oh, he says.
We're halfway there.
Oh, Squidward on a chair. And that is how we end this week's episodes.
I'm so sick and tired of the storyline just constantly repeating itself over and over and over again. Okay, so now we have the added thing that Aaron is getting physically abused by his dad because, the fact that he had body dysmorphia thanks to his diabetes wasn't enough. Why did they keep torturing young people on this show? Don't they want them to stick around?
Yeah, they're doing the same with some at a slower rate than I think they've been doing it to Kelly. And I just want to be clear on this. I think Harriet is doing a great job in Summer's shoes, selling the Faint. I thought she did a splendid job this week. Her character is just not working for me.
No. And that's not her fault.
No, it's not her fault.
It's the writer's fault because they keep making her do the same things over and over and over again. There's no growth.
How many times do we see
change.
her scushing the insulin away? And how many times...
Or fainting and saying, oh, well, I had a problem with the way my body looked, so I stopped taking the insulin that keeps me alive.
And when she fell over, she didn't even get to the hospital, so I didn't get a chance to use this.
No, we had no hospital visits this week.
That tuna's going to be the jinx that stops characters going to the hospital.
I don't think
I
so.
fear, because Summer really should have went to the hospital.
But then they really would have been too late. Of course, they were too late already.
Because they're not going to Barcelona, because she's not going to Oxford. Of course she's not going to go to Barcelona.
No. I just want the storyline to just go away because it's just... They're doing a disservice to young people with diabetes.
It doesn't feel like it's getting anywhere near its conclusion either.
No. And it's basically just going around in circles. It's exhausting. And, this is the thing. The stuff with Audrey works because it's realistic.
Mm-hmm.
This does not feel realistic. I believe that young people and also older people have body issues related to their diabetes. I do believe that is a thing. But the way they are writing it, the way they're handling it, with no growth, with no change, and basically the same thing over and over again, it just does not work at all.
They're throwing so much at Summer between her bulimia. I think it's bulimia more than anorexia, right? I think it's the purging is bulimia.
Well, it's all related to her body dysmorphia, which is related to her diabetes.
Right. They had that. They had the exams, the studying, the cheating. We've got the boyfriend that also has similar issues and has the alcoholic
now also
dad.
Has an alcoholic
and
abusive
gets
dad.
beaten up. If they'd gone to Barcelona, I'm sure the pilot of the plane would have had a gambling addiction. And when they got to the Picasso Museum, it would have been shut. It's just, let's throw as much stuff as we possibly can.
Yeah, it's bad.
At Summer concurrently.
It's bad. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you.
There's not a single thing about the storyline
there's nothing to be said.
Because
there's nothing new.
That hasn't been said already.
Right.
Except there was the threat of Barcelona.
Right. Yeah. And Aaron, for some reason, thought he could beat up Tyrone.
Right. And I'm not too sure about what are the rules of the dad thing, because I'm confused about what age is Aaron, and does he have the independent money to spend money on these vacations, and does the dad seems to need him, because the dad, I think, was the one that was calling him the other week, so the dad seems to make demands on him.
Right,
in the middle of the day.
Right, because he has
and then beats him up.
Abandonment issues because his wife left him because he was an abusive shit, and so now he's being an abusive shit to his kid.
So the dad doesn't want him, or will lose his mind if Aaron spends the night at Summer's, but would have been okay if the two of them had gone to Barcelona.
Who knows?
And Aaron's Aaron's attitude through this, with his kind of mood swings, where he's really quite nasty to her when he's after he's got the beaten thing. He's, rather than saying he doesn't want to speak about it, he kind of attacks her a little bit for weird reasons,
Which is realistic.
and then has to apologise for it immediately. And she seems to be accepting.
Which, again, is realistic
Of
because she
that.
hasn't been in an awful lot of relationships. So she's in over her head. She doesn't know how to relate to this. And so she's more accepting than an older person would be.
It's like,
And-
holy shit, how much of this are you going to put up with?
Right. And also he's of an age, and I think he's like, 18, 19, maybe 20. So he's younger.
Well, he's older than her.
Right. But not by much. But, he's been in this for whatever reason, and sometimes this does happen. The mom left without him. So he's got abandonment issues. And he also, with a dad like that, you can imagine that he probably has issues as far as masculinity is concerned, and, and he shouldn't feel sorry for himself, and he shouldn't have a girl mothering him about this whole thing. So of course he's going to be snippy. It's believable. It's awful to watch, but it's believable. But it's just a never-ending cycle, and nothing ever gets better, and it's not interesting, and it's not fun. And just send them to tea at the rape hotel.
Yeah, I just don't see where it's going. I don't see where the end point of this is.
No,
And
because it just goes in circles, and there's no end point in a circle.
oh well,
Oh, well.
that was the week that was Coronation Street.
That
What
is correct.
Was your moment of the week?
Audrey's tea.
Like I need to ask. Any particular part of it that took your fancy more than the others?
Well, the part where she finally admits that she tried to kill herself. And her
Is it-
friends rallying around her.
It's a shame that we can't give a secondary moment of the week to Rita sticking her head through
A potted plant.
the potted plant, and also the single ladies, but was quite amusing.
You were quite taken with it.
It's not. Oh, you weren't.
I was, just not as much as you, because I didn't try to meme it.
Well, you don't try to meme anything,
No, it's true.
so it's not really a measure then.
Anyway,
So Audrey's admission to her friends of her
Right.
attempts on their own life 3 weeks ago is our this week's
Moment of the week.
moment of the week.
your boring moment of the week.
Craig using Amy's bathroom.
No, that was just weird. Just weird. Do you have to let the police use your bathroom?
No, you don't have to let the police into your house.
I've got a warrant to take a shit.
Right? Yeah.
In your-
Unless he
in
has
your
a
sink.
warrant, he shouldn't be coming in your house. And he didn't have a warrant. He was just trying to give him some flyers about things that you shouldn't do while you're driving. That's the boring of the moment of the week. Craig handing flyers and
Oh, yeah.
explaining driving to Steve.
Yeah, because that got quite a lot of screen time on Friday.
Right.
I gave it nothing.
The whole ridiculous following Steve around town, Steve being worried that he's broken a law somewhere. And then it's just paperwork. It's just flyers saying don't use your phone while you're driving.
Now, it was pointed out on the Twitter, I think from Sophie, who noticed that when Steve's builder came in, Steve pointed to him and said, arrest this guy. I paid this guy and he didn't do the work that I paid him to do.
Right.
And Craig just doffs his cap,
And leaves.
says, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
He's got a habit of doing that kind
Yes,
of thing.
he does.
So the fact that PC Tinker's going to arrest you for something is
He's-
quite frankly ridiculous.
Yeah. He's far more concerned that you've written your initials on your stuff with invisible ink.
Right. Anyway, that is our...
Boring moment of the week.
Our moment of the week.
Alrighty, let's wrap this one up then.
And spank it on the bottom.
If you want to get in contact with us to complain about being spiked on the bottom, we are the talk of the street at gmail.com.
Or to request more spanks on the bottom.
And we're at the spanks on the bottom will continue until morale improves. And we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. You can shout me and Helen a coffee by heading to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street. Check out the clicky section of voggle.co.uk for links to our merch store and YouTube channel. And if you're so inclined, please leave a rating and a review on the iTunes or your podcast provider of choice. Thanks for making it to the end of another episode.
Thank you.
And we will be back next week with more
I'll talk of the street.
The Talk of the Street.
Bye.
Cheerio.